Rwanda is marking the 30-year anniversary of the start of the 1994 genocide that is estimated to have claimed more than 800,000 lives.
This one here for the G Squad. Let's go. Louis schemes on the beat. Louis. Nikoline G, we love you. Let's get it. Nikoline G, she shines so bright, lighting up the Kenyan night. Her beauty glows like the morning sun. With the squad, the journey's fun. For real. From Nairobi to the world, her stories they unfold. Inspiration in her talk, learning wisdom as we walk. Coming straight from the village.
Hi guys, what's up everybody? How are you guys doing? Welcome back to yet another amazing video. If you're new to this channel, hello, my beautiful name is Nikoline G and I'm here as usual with my girl Tina Masai. Please make sure you check out her channel and subscribe, watch her videos. She's trying to get monetized, and you know, the best thing you guys can do is just watch our videos so that we can mine this gold from YouTube. Okay, so today's video is gonna be a very emotional. It's very different, guys. I even started crying from the house, you see. My eyes ain't doing the best because I was doing like research of this place that we are going to. So we are going to visit the Kigali Genocide Museum, and I think you guys have the backstory, but if not, just stay tuned, because once I get there, I'll get the information and I'll be sharing with you. I understand this place holds the heart of Kigali, right? And I'm just super excited to experience that and learn everything that I need to learn. I'm munching on this. It's a mango. I've put salt. I've put salt in it, and I love it, so good. So we are walking here as usual, our stretch, as we go and look for a motorbike. Oh my god, guys, the weather these days is always very bipolar. We were leaving the house like 2 minutes ago. It was sunny. It has started drizzling, but will that stop us from going to where we are going? Will it stop us?
No, we are going.
I thought you were saying at
Oh,
that will not stop us. We have to go, so
We are
I think let's step faster and see if we'll be on time and look for a motorbike. And yeah, so this hill, we have to deal with it every single day. It's our life. Please guys, make sure you like this video, and just know it's gonna be a very emotional video, okay? But we must learn the history and things of new countries. That is mandatory. Oh my god, look at that G-Wagon. Nice cars. So guys, we finally found a motorbike, and we are headed to our destination. I just love the way each and every other time, guys, when I catch a motorbike, I'm given a helmet, like safety first. Yeah, so let's cruise as we go and explore. Guys, as a Kenyan, I have always heard about Rwanda's tragic past and how far the country has come. But honestly, I just wanted to go there by myself and get to understand the situation, yeah, myself. So let's cruise nicely as we go. Aki, I know by now, guys, you've already known where I'm staying, but the good thing is by the time these videos will be up, I'll be out. Yeah. Oh my god, Kigali is so clean. Look at the the roads. And guys, we are literally out of town. It's like 10 or 20 minutes to town. And look, this is how clean this place is. So Tina is right behind here. Yeah, we catch up guys when we get to our location.
Before genocide became Rwanda's headline, it was a land of deep tradition and fluid identity, a kingdom of clans bound not by race, but by custom. Here, three groups lived side by side, the Hutu, the Tutsi, and the Twa. But these weren't rigid tribes. They spoke the same language, they shared the same religion, they intermarried, and they weren't divided by blood, but by cattle. These were generally wealthier cattle herders, Hutus, mostly farmers. The Twa, the much smaller group, were forest-dwelling hunter-gatherers. But the line between Hutu and Tutsi wasn't fixed. You could become Tutsi by acquiring cattle and rising in status. You could lose that status just as quickly. The system wasn't perfect, but it worked. It was local, organic, centered around the Mwami, the king, who governed with a mix of ritual, respect, and centralized authority. In 1897, Germany claimed Rwanda as part of its East African Empire. But unlike in some other colonies, the Germans ruled lightly here. They didn't try to erase the monarchy. Instead, they co-opted it. They leaned on the Tutsi elites to collect taxes and keep the peace. They saw the tall, cattle-owning Tutsis as natural aristocrats, more noble in appearance, more European. That bias, barely acknowledged at the time, quietly amplified a social divide that had never truly been tribal. The Germans didn't invent Rwanda's hierarchies, but they did start to weaponize them. World War I changed everything. The Germans were defeated, and Rwanda, along with neighboring Burundi, was handed to Belgium under a League of Nations mandate. But where the Germans had been hands-off, the Belgians took a scalpel to Rwandan society and carved it along racial lines. Fueled by scientific racism, Belgian officials and Catholic missionaries believed the Tutsis were racially superior, descendants of a lost Ethiopian or even Hamitic race. Absurd, yes, but devastating in its consequences. In 1933, the Belgians did something Rwanda had never seen before. They conducted an ethnic census. Every Rwandan was issued an identity card, branding them permanently as Hutu, Tutsi, or Twa. No more flexibility, no more social mobility. Your identity was now official, and it was inescapable. It may seem small, just a piece of paper, but that ID card would one day become a death sentence. The Belgians backed the Tutsi elite for decades, placing them in charge of schools, churches, and civil administration. They built a system of inequality with a European stamp of approval. The Hutu majority, meanwhile, was left behind, politically sidelined and economically resentful. For years, that tension simmered, and then, finally, it exploded. In 1957, 9 Hutu intellectuals published the Bahutu Manifesto, a searing indictment of Tutsi privilege. It was the first political document to frame Rwanda's social inequality in purely ethnic terms. The manifesto didn't just demand reform, it demanded a reversal. And when the Belgians, sensing winds of change, began loosening their grip in the late 1950s, they didn't back the monarchy or the Tutsi aristocracy. They backed the Hutu majority. On November 1, 1959, a Hutu sub-chief was attacked, allegedly by Tutsi royalists. In retaliation, Hutu mobs swept through towns and villages, killing Tutsis, burning homes, and targeting anyone tied to the old regime. It marked the beginning of the Rwandan Revolution. By 1961, the monarchy was abolished. Rwanda declared itself a republic, ruled by Hutu leaders. and over 150,000 Tutsis had fled the country, scattering across Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, and Zaire. Among them, a small observant boy who would never forget what he saw. That boy was Paul Kagame. He grew up in dusty refugee camps, stateless, voiceless, marked by an identity that made him a target. In exile, Kagame didn't just stew in memory. He learned to fight. In the 1980s, he joined Uganda's rebel forces under Yoweri Museveni, learning guerrilla tactics, discipline, and strategy. For Kagame and thousands of other exiles, Rwanda was still home. And one day, they would return. Let's be clear, the hatred that fueled Rwanda's genocide wasn't ancient. It wasn't tribal. It was engineered by colonial systems that reduced a dynamic society to boxes on a form. The Belgians created the hierarchy. The identity cards locked it in place. The post-independence governments built on the foundation of fear and revenge. By the 1990s, the fuse had already been lit, and it was only a matter of time before it reached the powder keg. By the late 1980s, the exiled sons and daughters of Rwanda had waited long enough. They had grown up in refugee camps in Uganda, Tanzania, Congo, without a country, without a future, and without a voice. But they hadn't forgotten where they came from, and they hadn't forgiven what drove them out. Among them was a soft-spoken, sharp-eyed man named Paul Kagame. As a child, he'd watched his family flee across the border. As a teenager, he lived without citizenship. But by his 30s, he was no longer a refugee. He was a soldier, trained in guerrilla warfare and ready to return. In 1987, a group of exiled Rwandan intellectuals and fighters founded the Rwandan Patriotic Front, the RPF. They came out of RANU, a political pressure group. But this new formation wasn't about words, it was about action. They trained under Uganda's rising leader, Yoweri Museveni, whose own rebellion had just toppled a dictatorship. Kagame, quiet but meticulous, would become head of intelligence. These weren't mercenaries. These were men and women on a mission: return to Rwanda, reclaim dignity, rewrite history. By 1990, they were ready. Back in Rwanda, President Juvenal Habyarimana ruled like a king in all but name. He had seized power in 1973, promising peace. What he built instead was a one-party system, the MRND, the only political game in town. Loyalty wasn't optional, it was survival. Ethnic quotas barred Tutsis from universities, civil service jobs, even public housing. Files were marked Hutu only. Ambition was suspicion, and suspicion got you followed, or worse. But behind the curtain of order, something darker was brewing. A hardline movement called Hutu Power began to take root. Quiet at first, then louder, then armed. October 1st, 1990, just before dawn, 4,000 RPF fighters crossed the Ugandan border into northern Rwanda. Their goal wasn't conquest, it was leverage. They wanted talks. They wanted safe return for refugees. They wanted political reform. But the regime in Kigali didn't see rebels. It saw invaders. Habyarimana's elite presidential guard, backed by Zairian reinforcements and French military advisors, launched a brutal counterattack. The RPF was pushed back into the mountains, retreating deep into the Virunga forests. But they didn't disappear. They re-emerged as guerrilla fighters, striking convoys, disrupting supply lines, moving like shadows. The civil war had begun, and it would last for almost 4 years. As the RPF gained ground in the north, something insidious was metastasizing in the capital. A private radio station, RTLM, began broadcasting in 1993. It played pop music and comedy, but between the laughs were venomous calls to violence. Tutsis were cockroaches, Inyenzi, infiltrators, subhuman. It wasn't just talk. Militias like the Interahamwe and Impuzamugambi trained in open daylight, sharpening machetes, memorizing kill lists, and rehearsing the day the signal would come. This wasn't just political division, this was incitement with a timeline. In 1993, under international pressure, the Rwandan government and the RPF signed the Arusha Accords, a fragile peace deal meant to end the civil war. It promised a transitional government, power sharing, and reintegration of exiled Tutsis. UN peacekeepers arrived under the command of General Romeo Dallaire, a Canadian officer who believed in the mission. But behind the handshakes, the extremists were plotting. They saw Arusha as surrender. They began stockpiling weapons. They organized roadblocks. They trained militias by night. And quietly, they prepared for what they called the final solution. January 1994, a man known only as Jean-Pierre approached Dallaire's staff. He was a militia insider, and he had a warning. There were lists, thousands of names, plans for mass killings. The militias were preparing to exterminate every Tutsi in Kigali. He even told Dallaire where the arms were hidden. Dallaire faxed UN headquarters in New York. He begged for permission to seize the weapons and stop the massacre before it began. The response: stand down, do not intervene. The red flags were waving. The world chose to blink. On the evening of April 6, 1994, President Habyarimana boarded his plane to return from peace talks in Tanzania. As the Dassault Falcon descended toward Kigali airport, 2 surface-to-air missiles struck. The jet exploded mid-air and crashed in a fireball that lit the horizon. Everyone on board was killed: Habyarimana, Burundi's President Ntaryamira, their staff, and crew. Within minutes, Kigali descended into panic. The Presidential Guard issued a coded message over military channels: the commander is dead. It wasn't just a report, it was a green light. Militia units mobilized, roadblocks went up. Kill lists were activated. Kigali was about to become a slaughterhouse. To this day, the identity of the shooters remains a mystery, one cloaked in conspiracy and political agendas. Some say Hutu hardliners, angry at Habyarimana's concessions, orchestrated the hit themselves to justify mass extermination. Others point to the RPF, claiming they sabotaged the planes to derail the peace deal and return to power by force. Multiple investigations have led to conflicting conclusions. But here's what is clear: the crash didn't cause the genocide. It triggered a plan that had already been written, rehearsed, and armed. Within hours of the explosion, the first victims fell. Prime Minister Agatha Uwilingiyimana, one of the few moderates in Habyarimana's circle, was murdered. 10 Belgian UN peacekeepers sent to guard her were also killed, tortured, mutilated, executed. And with that, the UN mission collapsed. The international community recoiled, and Rwanda was left to bleed. What had begun as a civil war had now mutated into something else. The genocide had begun. Rwanda was no longer a country, it was a killing field. In a matter of hours, Kigali transformed into a city of roadblocks, machetes, and death lists. Tutsis were dragged from their homes, lined up, and slaughtered, sometimes by soldiers, sometimes by the people they knew best. Neighbors, co-workers, even classmates. What triggered it was political. What followed was extermination. This wasn't a sudden burst of chaos, it was a blueprint, activated with chilling precision. The Rwandan government didn't collapse in the chaos, it led it. Ministers gave orders, mayors coordinated attacks. Police handed out weapons, guns, grenades, and above all, machetes. Massacres were organized like public works projects. Killers were paid in beer, food, and loot, or worse, told it was their patriotic duty. Refuse, and you risk being labeled a traitor, or a Tutsi in disguise. Churches once seen as sanctuaries became traps. Priests locked the doors, militias lit the matches, hospitals, schools, and even Red Cross stations. No place was off limits. Sexual assault wasn't just a side effect of war, it was a strategy. Tens of thousands of women were sexually assaulted, tortured, and mutilated, not in secrecy, but often in public, as terror and humiliation. Many were deliberately infected with HIV by soldiers who had been ordered to kill slowly. Others were forced into sexual slavery by militia leaders who treated them as war trophies. Mothers were made to witness the horrors inflicted on their daughters. Entire generations were scarred, not just in body, but in soul. Even in a genocide that redefined brutality, the use of sexual assault was something almost unspeakable. The world saw. The world knew. The world did nothing. UN peacekeepers, led by General Romeo Dallaire, were still in Rwanda. But their mandate was weak. They weren't allowed to engage. When they tried to protect civilians, they were told to stand down. When 10 Belgian peacekeepers were murdered in the early days, Belgium pulled out. The US, still haunted by its failure in Somalia, refused to even call it a genocide, because doing so would have triggered legal obligations to act. So the diplomats debated language while Rwandans died by the minute. The UN reduced its troops from 2,500 to just 270 at the height of the massacre. 270 peacekeepers against tens of thousands of killers. With the world standing by, only one force moved to stop the genocide. The Rwandan Patriotic Front, led by Paul Kagame, launched a series of coordinated offensives across the country, starting in the north, then the east, then westward toward Kigali. They didn't rely on shock and awe. They advanced carefully, securing one town at a time, dismantling roadblocks and liberating survivors. What they found along the way was worse than even they had imagined. Churches packed with bodies, mass graves so full the earth itself had split open, entire families wiped out, generation after generation gone in a single morning. In late June 1994, France, under growing international pressure, launched Operation Turquoise, declaring it a humanitarian mission. They carved out a safe zone in the southwest. Some civilians were rescued, lives were saved, but many Rwandans, including Kagame, saw it for what it also was, a cover, a way for France to protect its former allies and Habyarimana's regime, a corridor for Interahamwe leaders and former soldiers to escape into Zaire, taking weapons, cash, and plans for revenge with them. The operation that was meant to end the genocide may have only moved it next door. On July 4th, after 3 months of slaughter, the RPF took control of Kigali. The genocidal regime crumbled. The roadblocks were dismantled. The killing finally began to slow. But by then, it was too late for 800,000 to 1 million souls. The countryside was littered with bones. Rivers ran red. Entire towns had no living children. Whole bloodlines had been erased. The genocide had ended. But Rwanda was unrecognizable. This wasn't just a failure of humanity. It was a failure of policy, of institutions, of courage. The world had been warned. The signs were everywhere. The messages were clear. But the risks seemed too high, the words too difficult, the people too far away. And so, Rwanda burned, while the world watched through the comfort of distant TV screens. For those who survived, the pain didn't end with the silence of the guns. It continued in the nightmares, the missing faces, and the ache of a future stolen. But the fire was still burning. It had just crossed the border. Killing stopped in Rwanda, but the killers didn't. In the chaos following the genocide, nearly 2 million people, mostly Hutus, flooded across the border into Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo. Among them were not just civilians, but the very architects of the genocide. Interahamwe militiamen, former soldiers of the Rwandan armed forces, and hardline politicians, the genocidaires, used the cover of humanitarian crisis to regroup. They took over the refugee camps, they hijacked aid deliveries, and they began preparing for round 2. Back in Kigali, Paul Kagame, now vice president and de facto leader of Rwanda, watched the threat grow. The killers hadn't just escaped justice. They were rearming. They were launching raids into Rwanda. Civilians were dying. Kagame made a choice. He wouldn't wait to be attacked again. In 1996, Kagame and Museveni authorized a cross-border invasion. The goal? Dismantle the refugee camps, neutralize the militias, eliminate the threat once and for all. But what began as a security operation quickly became something else entirely. The Rwandan military, backed by Uganda, didn't just destroy the camps. They went further. They marched hundreds of kilometers into Zaire, smashing through the crumbling army of Mobutu Sese Seko, the aging dictator who had ruled for over 30 years. Their local proxy was a little-known rebel leader named Laurent Désiré Kabila, with Rwandan weapons, soldiers, and strategy. Kabila captured Kinshasa in 1997. Mobutu fled into exile. Kabila became president, and Rwanda. It now had deep leverage over the most resource-rich country in the world, but it didn't stop there. Eastern Congo wasn't just a refuge for fugitives. It was a gold mine, literally. The region holds massive deposits of gold, tin, tungsten, and coltan, a mineral critical for smartphones, laptops, and satellites. And whoever controlled those minerals controlled untold wealth. Rwandan and Ugandan troops, still stationed in Congo, partnered with local militias to take control of mining operations. They smuggled minerals through Rwandan and Ugandan borders, sold them on the global market, and used the profits to fuel their military and political machines. Phones buzzed in Paris, New York, and Beijing, powered by blood-soaked minerals from a war nobody wanted to talk about. But Kagame and Kabila's alliance was built on convenience, not trust. Once in power, Kabila turned on his backers, demanding that all foreign troops leave Congo. Kagame refused, and just like that, war erupted again. This time, it was Rwanda and Uganda on one side, backing a new wave of rebel groups. On the other, Kabila's government, supported by a coalition of African nations, Angola, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and others. It became the Second Congo War, a conflict so vast, so complex, and so devastating, it would later be called Africa's World War. From 1998 to 2003, Eastern Congo became hell on earth. Over 5 million people died, mostly from starvation, disease, and displacement. Thousands were executed, women were sexually assaulted, children were conscripted into militias, villages were erased from maps, and through it all, the minerals kept moving. Coltan for your phone, gold for your jewelry, tin for your circuit boards. This wasn't just a war, it was a business model, and Rwanda, hailed for its post-genocide recovery, was at the center of it. Paul Kagame rebuilt Rwanda. He stopped the genocide. He brought order and growth. But across the border, his legacy is darker. Multiple UN investigations accused Rwandan forces of committing war crimes in Congo, including massacres of civilians, executions of prisoners, and targeted assassinations of Hutu refugees, including women and children. Yes, some genocidaires were killed, but so were countless innocents, people who had nothing to do with the genocide, caught in the crossfire of revenge, profit, and control. To this day, Eastern Congo remains fractured, its hills patrolled by militias, its mines exploited, its people forgotten. The Rwandan genocide ended in July 1994, but the fire it started still burns, deep in the jungles of Congo, where proxy wars continue, where rebel groups change names but never goals, where life is cheap and minerals are priceless. We like to draw lines in history. Before, after, never again. But in Central Africa, there was no clean break, no catharsis, no closure, just silence and blood and profit. The genocide was the match, Congo was the fuel, and the world the silent witness.
Hey. Telling you guys, I just can't. I'll give you like a whole recap when I'm in a position to. Right now we are exploring like the graveyard sites where over 2,000 people were buried, and this place is very peaceful. I just felt like I missed my grandmother today of all days. Like it just hit me so bad, man. We're actually not allowed to film in the museum, so that's why I didn't record anything. Guys, this has really changed how I see Kigali. Right now it has started drizzling. We need to exit this place as soon as possible. But yeah, please make sure you subscribe because I've crowed a good one. Yo, this day has been very emotional. Like, it has been a very emotional experience for me. I've been hearing about the genocide and what happened in Kigali, but I didn't actually think it was that deep. Sometimes we take things for granted, but you only realize until you're here, that's when you'll get to understand what really happened in ground. Right now I'm still here at the museum and we are trying to exit. Yeah, so Tina, what do you think about today?
What? So emotional, man. Imagine seeing kids being killed, drawn on a wall, killed by a machete, burned. The worst part is the kids, and the one that
Aki,
we
the kids
saw-
section made me emotional.
and the one that we saw that kids were crying after they saw their parents are dead, and they are there crying. That thing touched my heart. Man, it's so emotional to a point that I was just trying to calm myself to gain courage, but I was not.
I couldn't. But honestly, this experience today has changed how I see Kigali, Rwanda.
Yeah.
I now understand why this place is very peaceful, it's safe, like people are brothers keepers, and there's nothing like ethnicity over here. They all identify themselves as one, which is really nice. I understand why there is no like anything about corruption over here. Hey, I've actually missed my grandmother today. Today I feel like I've missed my grandmother so much of all days. Yeah. We'll catch up, guys, as I tell you what I learned over here, okay? So stay tuned. Immediately you enter at the museum, you're not allowed to film. So I didn't manage to film anything. But you know what? I will narrate everything that I saw inside, because of respect and all that. So right about now we are exiting. We've been taking cute photos that I'll be sharing with you guys. They're right from here. Should check out my Instagram page and subscribe. Yeah, I'm trying to wear my bag as I leave this place. Tina, are you ready? Ready?
Yes,
Aki, guys, the weather is very bipolar. It has started drizzling again, it has stopped. In the morning it was drizzling, it stopped, but yeah, let's go. I also need to know, guys, in the comment section, what does Kwibuka mean? What does it mean? I realized you know a lot of Rwandan. Yeah.
This one I don't know, but I think it's related with the museum.
I think it means remember, unite, and renew. Maybe.
Oh, that's the reason.
Yeah. So let's go.
Unite, renew.
Remember, unite, and renew.
Kwibuka.
Thank you for visiting. Yeah, as we exit, it was nice. But man, I understand now why Kigali, Rwanda is this much changed. So let's catch our motorbike, and I will see you in the next few as we talk. Guys, I've been in the same space of where 2,000 people were buried from the genocide. So heartbreaking.
Today, Rwanda is a case study in transformation. From the ashes of genocide, it rebuilt itself into what some call the Singapore of Africa. Clean streets, high-speed internet, efficient government, GDP growth averaging 7 to 8% a year. Rwanda is now a darling of investors, aid donors, and Western diplomats. But behind the statistics and the skyscrapers lies a quieter question. Who paid for this miracle? Rwanda's peace came at a price, and that price was political silence. President Paul Kagame, once the rebel commander who stopped the genocide, has ruled with an iron grip since 2000. Elections are held, but always with a foregone conclusion. Opposition leaders are jailed, exiled, or mysteriously found dead. Human rights groups are monitored. Critical journalists like John Leonard Rugambage gunned down near their homes. Artists like Kizito Mihigo arrested, later unalived himself in police custody. Kagame's Rwanda is safe, efficient, and booming, but only if you stay in line. After the genocide, the world demanded justice. Rwanda responded with two systems. The International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, or ICTR, was set up in Arusha, Tanzania. It tried senior leaders of the genocide. Over 13 years, it convicted just 61 people, at a cost of nearly $1 billion. Meanwhile, inside Rwanda, justice looked very different. Locals gathered under trees, in courtyards, on dusty schoolyards. These were the Gacaca courts, community-run tribunals designed for speed and participation. Over 1.2 million cases were heard. Thousands of perpetrators confessed. Survivors confronted their attackers face to face. But Gacaca had flaws. No defense lawyers, no appeals, plenty of false accusations. For some, it brought closure. For others, it reopened wounds. While Rwanda was praised for its post-genocide recovery, few wanted to talk about where much of its wealth came from. According to UN reports, the Rwandan military and its allies profited from vast quantities of gold, tin, tungsten, and coltan smuggled out of eastern Congo during and after the war. Rwanda officially has no coltan mines, yet for years it was one of the top coltan exporters in the world. How? By routing minerals looted from Congolese conflict zones through its own export systems. Western tech companies bought the raw materials, often through shadowy middlemen, without asking too many questions. Your phone, your laptop, your watch, they may have been powered by suffering you'll never see. The cost of Rwanda's regional dominance was paid by Congo's civilians. Between 1998 and 2007, an estimated 5 million people died from war-related causes, many of them not from bullets, but from starvation, disease, and displacement. Sexual assault was used as a weapon. Girls as young as 7 were targeted. Women were mutilated. Entire communities were torn apart. And yet, no international tribunal, no global outcry, no justice. The genocide was rightfully condemned. The war that followed was quietly ignored. In Rwanda, survivors still live with the trauma of genocide. Many lost entire families. Many are widows or orphans. Even today, over 60% of households in some areas are female-led due to genocide losses. NGOs help, but many survivors rely on monthly stipends or foreign aid. Others still live near the men who once tried to kill them. Reconciliation programs exist, but they rarely acknowledge Hutu civilians killed during RPF reprisals, or the victims in Congo who remain uncounted. The narrative of never again is powerful, but it's not the whole story. Today's Rwanda is a magnet for global capital. Chinese firms build highways, European NGOs run coffee cooperatives, American investors eye Kigali's tech parks, and Kagame, he's seen as a visionary, welcomed to Davos, praised by Tony Blair, studied in Harvard classrooms. But while the elite thrive, inequality persists. A significant portion of the population still lives below the poverty line. And in Congo, minerals still flow out under armed guard, feeding devices and dividends across the globe. For some, Rwanda's recovery is a success story. For others, it's a story of selective memory. Rwanda stands at a crossroads. It can continue down the path of tight control, growth without dissent, peace without truth. Or it can open up, confront uncomfortable legacies, and strive for justice beyond its borders. Because the choices it makes now won't just shape Rwanda's future. They'll shape the future of the entire Great Lakes region, from the vast lands of Congo to the halls of the United Nations. The guns may have fallen silent in Kigali, but in eastern Congo, they never really stopped. To this day, the region is home to over 100 armed groups, some fighting for land, others for minerals, and many backed by foreign interests. One of the most active, the M23 rebels, accused of massacres, displacements, and looting. The UN has repeatedly linked their backing to Rwanda, despite Kigali's denials. It's a shadow war, fought far from headlines. But for those on the ground, the consequences are very real, and Rwanda's fingerprints still linger. Even now, the minerals fueling this hidden conflict are embedded in our lives. Coltan, tungsten, tantalum, and gold, the backbone of the digital age, still leave Congo through unofficial routes, often labeled as Rwandan exports. Global companies issue statements. They promise ethical sourcing. But audits are rare, oversight is murky, and the money keeps flowing. This isn't just a local issue, it's a global supply chain built on silence. Inside Rwanda, history is a careful script. The genocide is taught, memorialized, honored, but not everything can be said. Criticizing the RPF is taboo. Discussing revenge killings by Kagame's forces, dangerous. Asking about Congo, often met with silence or suspicion. The government promotes national unity, banning references to ethnic identity. But survivors know the scars don't vanish just because you stop naming them. And for young Rwandans born after 1994, the truth comes with heavy redactions. History isn't just what happened, it's what we choose to remember and what we choose to erase. In Rwanda, memory is sacred, but also guarded. In Congo, suffering continues, but barely spoken of. And in the rest of the world, we celebrate recovery without fully facing the wreckage it left in its wake. If we forget the connections, the profiteering, the silence, we risk letting it all happen again, somewhere else with different names, but the same formula. The story isn't over, and neither is our responsibility. I hope you found the story of the Rwandan genocide interesting.
So guys, finally got a place that I can chill and talk to you. The views are really amazing. Look. So this is just a random restaurant that I found around here. It's close to the BK Arena. It's in Remera area, or what do you call it? Man, guys, I'm telling you, whatever I've learned today at the stadium, not the stadium, why am I saying stadium? 1 minute. Well, sorry guys for that small inconvenience. I was trying to receive a call from my friend. So guys, at the museum actually documents the events that happened in 1994. Guys, hey, more than 1 million lives were just lost in less than a few months. I'm telling you, I was just walking around the museum, and my heart felt so heavy. Like, I was feeling so emotional. Guys, I couldn't even hold my tears. I just said, let me just release it. I just wanted to just let it go. Like, I just felt the pain. It's like, you might think I was in Rwanda during that period of the genocide. But also, guys, it's so painful to take in, but as a visitor visiting Rwanda for the first time, I just feel that their grief just turned into something really beautiful, because this city right now, and the way people just what is it called, the way they go about their lives, you wouldn't say, guys, they had to go through such a hard time in their lives. But guys, let me tell you, what really moved me the most were the personal stories that were in the museum. Like, you know, there is a place they had like photos of the people, especially the children section. Guys, it was so painful to see, like, someone had written there, like, they had like stories of those, like, let's say kids. It was not just kids, even women, men, and everyone. Like, they were just writing like their last words, what they said, and things like those. Man, it was very, very emotional experiencing that. Yeah, just reading those letters. Also, there are letters from their loved ones who are there, like, let's say now the survivors. Yeah, I just needed 1 minute to breathe in and out before I just get into my emotions. I'm a very emotional person, guys. I just love crying. I feel when I cry, I feel good. It releases some negativity out of me. Yeah. Man, the final words of children who never made it were very touchy. Like, it was so painful to watch. But you guys, if you get a chance to visit the memorial garden, if you get a chance to visit Rwanda, please make sure you go and visit the memorial garden. So after the museum, we were explained before the what is it called, before the genocide, what happened after the genocide, and also I've explained, guys, the later part and everything. Also behind where the memorial is, they have like a garden where people have been buried now. I think I shot a small clip over there. I just didn't want to overdo it because we were told you cannot record inside there, so I didn't do much. But guys, over there they had a mass grave. Imagine 250 victims were laid to rest there. It's a small space, but they've really kept it well. It is so silent. Like when you just walk there, it's like you'll hear, okay, I don't know, I think it's me, you'll hear like, it's silent, but it's like you're just connecting with the dead. Yeah, it's something like that. So if you go there, guys, you can buy flowers and place them over the grave. Yeah, it's allowed. Yeah, man, I think that's it for the it's called Kigali Genocide Museum. Yeah, I actually went there and I felt like I was just connecting with my grandmother. May her soul rest in peace. I really miss my grandmother so much. But anyway, the visit to the Genocide museum has changed me, like, for real. I'm seated next to a road, so I might get easily distracted. But the point is, guys, when you visit here, please make sure you try and visit the Genocide Museum. I've always known Kigali to be a very clean and peaceful country, but now I understand why it is like this. The people over here have chosen and settled to just be peaceful. They're embracing forgiveness and the discipline here. Guys, the unity is on another level. You can't walk out of Kigali as the same person if you visit the Genocide Museum. Trust you me. You'll start thinking differently about your personal life, not just about the situation over there. You'll think of it at a deeper level, you know? Yeah, man. I'm so happy I made it to the museum, and thanks, guys, for also watching this video. I really appreciate you. You can as well comment in the comment section and let me know which other places you will like to see me visit and also explore, right? Yeah. That is it. I think I'm gonna end this video right here. I have a very different perspective of Kigali as per now, but yeah, it was amazing experiencing that at the museum. Anyway, guys, as usual, I'll keep on reminding you, just be kind. In a world you could be anything, just be kind, and just be kind. Until next time, stay curious for more amazing vlogs. Yeah, that is it. These are my views that I'm catching as we end this amazing video. Let me have something to eat before I collapse. To every Rwandan who lost someone, trust you, we see ya, and we pray that everything fall in place. We might not understand what you're going through or how you're feeling, but we honor you. To everyone who is watching this video right now, may this remind us that unity and peace is possible. Imagine, no matter what our past looks like, yeah? This is my message to everyone who is clicked onto today's video. Yeah, you should listen and listen carefully. Thank you, Kigali, for teaching me what healing truly looks like, because this is incredible. The views are good. I'm in this side of town and I'm enjoying. And guys, please if this video touched you, please make sure you share it, not just for the views, of course, yes, for the views, but also not just because of the views, but to remember or to remind someone what actually resilience looks like. Okay, yeah, thanks guys. Actually, the sun is hot, and the way today the weather has been misbehaving. I know I ended the video, but I have a lot of things in my thoughts right now. But anyway, let me go and get something to eat. As I said, I might collapse. I've crowed a good one today, for real, but it's okay. They have VN on their billboard. Hey. Man, that is cute. I've seen 2 artists today from Nairobi, Kenya in their billboards. So guys, let's go and inquire in the bus stop if it goes to our direction. And then we will try the electric bus. Hey, it's actually almost. If I'm going to Rwanda, I can use the bus. What is there? The bus is there. The bus the convention center. So there is not a difference. How much? 500. You pay where?
You pay first. 600. You say 500. 600, 700, 500. Which is which?
Which is 100.
600.
Okay, 2. Just calculate. Oh my God. Okay, my Lord. It's like you're going to stand. Is there a seat there? What? You wanted to experience electric bus.
Types of travel, sitting down.
But anyway, there is experience, you know? Otherwise you could have caught a motorbike. And let's do this. I'll definitely tell you how it was. I hope we will not forget to Pitishwe. I hope we will not forget to Pitishwe. Yeah, let's go.